After the disastrous Battle of Validar II, the Frontier Union militia had lost the strategic momentum which had sustained their string of victories to that point. Thus, the Tandil Rush coined by Kaito Hakim had come to an end, and the long, grinding stalemate set in. In an attempt to regain the advantage over the rigid doctrine of the CDF, fleet leaders were encouraged to leverage every possible advantage and to explore novel tactics and technologies. One such tactic would be the employment of Mauritian remote-operated fighter boats. Deployed from Florencia-class outriders, these fighter boats, such as the Iteration 9 Spider drone, were modified for compatibility with the Florencia's Panaron mounts. The loadout of 8 drones proved effective in initial engagements, and more detachments began requesting ships with this configuration, becoming colloquially known as Nestships, or Wezar Ka'anduno in Teldrani. Henrik de Barn, the Grand Selectman of Teldrin, excited by the prospect of a unique approach to warfare that might become a hallmark of the Union, took personal interest in this tactic, and the man took it upon himself to order the commissioning of a dedicated class of ship, which would dramatically bolster the Union's ability to deploy and maintain large numbers of drones. Despite their reservations on the effectiveness of these drones outside of customs and police roles, the relevant Mauritian shipwrights withheld their concerns, so as not to jeopardize a potentially lucrative source of sales. Half as a morale-boosting tactic and half as a way to bolster the stretched Union treasury, de Barn initiated a funding drive, allowing Frontier Union citizens to make donations to support the construction of this new, supposedly game-changing frontier warship, certain to bring the Centran Defense Force to heel. The program was named the Jedaline Fund, in honor of Captain Jedaline Fisek, a militia captain killed in action during the taking of Cardaeus, whose name would later be given to the ship itself. At a length of 336 meters, the Jedaline-Class Nestships dwarfs its contemporaries. Its hangar facilities allow it to carry up to 73 fighter drones under 12 meters in length. Its outriggers feature large launch pads, including a total of 64 hardpoints, as well as 12 magnetic recovery pads. Fighter drones are moved from the recovery pads to the massive maintenance bay by a magnetic rail crane system. As the ship is never expected to see direct combat, its armament features only 8 swivel guns, for last-layer defense against long-range torpedo attacks. It is wholly reliant on its drone complement and on other ships to defend it against aggressors. Finally, the Jedaline carries one of the most sophisticated communications suites ever developed, an extraordinarily expensive Mauritian-purchased device, able to easily cut through standard CDF jamming and control hundreds of individual fighter drones. The Jedaline itself is essentially built like a construction platform or other utility vessel, with a thin and skeletal frame built to maximize external drone storage space. Though its drones, as well as its sensor and comm systems, are advanced and expensive, this cost is paid back in the cheap and brittle design of the rest of the ship, as well as by extensive cost-cutting in internal electronics and various safety measures, making for an often temperamental vessel. When given adequate preparation time, the Jedaline can deploy massive swarms of 64 fighter drones at once. When first used in battle during the action of Equinox 137, 295 PCU, this tactic entirely overwhelmed the target CDF squadron, who were caught so unprepared for such an unusual attack vector that they were forced to surrender. This greatly emboldened de Barn and caused the Jedaline Fund to be initially hailed as a success, but this enthusiasm would not last. De Barn's funding drives had at first proved fruitful, and within a year he had managed to fund the construction of 8 Nestships. However, the triumphs of the Jedaline class would quickly fade. In subsequent engagements with the CDF, it became clear that once the enemy had learned to expect attack by large numbers of fighter boats, having disseminated intelligence about the Jedaline fleet-wide, they were able to very easily repulse such attacks. Even conventional swivel gun grids proved quite sufficient for countering large groups of drones once they could be coordinated against a known threat. After weeks of repeated failures, eventually 2 Nestships were surrendered in an action near Valeria Cebus, and the decision was made to withdraw the ships from frontline service, assigning them to secondary roles. In a move widely decried by the public, Henrik de Barn refused to close the funding drive, and instead redirected the small remaining income towards other personal projects. The Nestships themselves would in fact receive a second wind in a new role as fleet tenders and rear echelon command ships, their extensive maintenance facilities and large storage capacity making them ideal for resupply and in-situ maintenance, and they were easily re-equipped to be able to repair and maintain full-sized warships in the field, with their powerful sensor array and communication systems also making them valuable signals platforms in fleet engagements. Despite now finding praise from militia commanders in their new role as a tender, this was not enough for de Barn to consider greenlighting further construction, reportedly stating that a ship which does not destroy the enemy is no ship worth having. The remaining ships of the original Jedaline run would be all that were ever built.